Welcome to Life Plus Plus, where we aim to add value to life by sharing knowledge, life lessons, and combined experiences from our friends, colleagues, and associates. In each episode, we'll be looking to talk about real life issues and things that are important to you. So if there's anything you want us to discuss, put them in the comments section below or email us at lifepluspluspodcast@thethrowdown.com. This episode is sponsored by Kososhi Clothing. Welcome to episode 2. I am Lambo the Virus. And with me today, I have the regal eagle, the number one chef of legal pepper soup. Obi Nwokeji, what's going on, man?
I'm good. I didn't know you were going to rhyme as well, man. Legal, regal.
You know how
it should be regal, legal, eagle. As in the king.
You want the arrangement different?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
The regal, legal, eagle.
Turn up my headphones.
How you doing, man?
No, I'm pleased to be here. You know,
man. Good to have you, man.
Very, very pleased to be here. I remember you talking about having this show, and suddenly here we are. Life Plus Plus.
Yep.
Great to be here. Thank you for having me.
Nice, man. How's life treating you?
It's a bit hot today. I thought it was going to rain. Mm-hmm. If in England normally at this time it rains, but it's been sunny. It's been quite good. It's a bit hot.
Yeah.
But life has been treating me good. The sun's out. Anytime the sun's out, people are smiling.
Yeah.
So it's all good. It's all good, as they say.
Yeah, man. I wish this goodness would be perpetual, but unfortunately, to start this on a very sad note, I got some news from Nigeria about someone I know. I was quite close to him. He committed suicide.
Wow.
Yeah, he committed suicide because he had marital problems. And yeah, the guy just took his life, poisoned himself.
Poisoned himself?
Yeah. So it's a dark one.
Because he had marital problems, or is there underlying issues? There must have been underlying issues.
Well, not that anyone could see, because he's a very jovial person, very lively. There were no signs. That's the ass
really?
With these
so
sort of
he's
things.
married. He had a job. Did he have a job?
He had a job. He was self-employed, as most Nigerians are.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was he doing well? Like what people would class as doing well? You know,
he was all right. He was all right. You know, he was all right. He was getting by.
And just decided to commit himself. What? Just killed himself.
Just killed himself.
Wow. The funniest thing is that even though I say wow, I'm not surprised because. Suicide, especially amongst black men, is, I think, one of the highest in the world. If not, I think black men are particularly overrepresented in mental health issues, because he certainly must have had mental health issues. And when I say mental health issues, I'm not saying it. I don't know if that sounds right to say mental health issues.
It is.
But if he must have been suffering emotionally in a way, and it's not a case. I just wonder whether it was picked up, whether people actually identified whether the things he was going through at the time, because I know as black men especially, we are programmed to not to cry, not to express emotions, not to express vulnerability.
The alpha male syndrome.
Absolutely, and crying is for wimps, and so I can certainly see, and it's not just an isolated case. I mean, I know people right from my 20s, my teenage years, who committed suicide. And this is Nigeria as well, not to talk about here, but it's something I think that's coming more to the fore. I know Nigeria doesn't have hardly, if any, mental health facilities. I remember reading something, funny enough, just not too long ago about there being about 130 or so psychiatrists in Nigeria.
In the whole of Nigeria.
Something like that, like 130. I knew it was something like one psychiatrist for every 1 million people.
Wow.
And Nigeria now, they'll be like, what's wrong with you, my friend? Get over it. Which is what they do here as well, which is get over it, pick yourself up, be a man, do all that stuff. But I think vulnerability is one of the worst things that is overlooked. So I'm just babbling on here, but I can understand where you're coming from in relation to this. I just wonder whether there were signs, what happened, what kind of help or assistance he could have had because it's an illness.
Yeah. How does one see these signs? How does one see these signs? That's the thing, you know, when it comes to mental health. Even the stars, the ones who are literally...
The one that shocked me,
Yeah.
not too recently, I remember the guy from, is it Prodigy? Is that, no, the guy, Keith. It's Prodigy, isn't it Prodigy?
What,
The
from
I'm a
what?
Firestarter guy.
Oh, yeah.
You know, he hung
is his name
himself. I'm sure his name is Keith
He's
something.
alive, isn't he?
No, he committed suicide a while ago.
Oh, my God.
Like 2 months ago, something like
Wow.
that. But the one that really stood out to me was the comedian, Robin Williams.
Williams,
I was like, man, this is one of the funniest guys ever.
Mm.
You know, he has millions, he has accolades, fame and everything, presumably, but he still, I think he hung himself as well.
How about the South African rapper, hip-hop Patsula?
Did he kill himself?
Yeah, he did.
Oh, I just thought he...
No, he killed himself.
Wow, so that's it's amazing how people think that it's not common, but it's actually extremely common. And I think a question you were asking is, how do you recognize it? I think one of the main things, one common thing that I think is common ground for a lot of people is that they withdraw. So if you have a friend, and this is something I know I have a friend sometimes who'll call me and just say, how are you doing? You know, honestly, I've got a few friends that do that to me. And I try and do that as well to some people. You know, if you haven't heard from somebody for a while, you know, just asking, how you doing? Are you okay? Are you fine? It's people, I think being withdrawn is one of the classic symptoms probably when you're depressed, maybe. But I don't know. It's one of those ones where you just simply have to be observant. You just have to, you know, if you know somebody, say for example yourself. If I know who you are, I know how you sound on the phone, I know the conversations we normally have. But if I call you, you know, next week and you're like, yeah, I'm all right, I'm fine. Or I call you, stop picking up your phone, or you know, we plan to meet someone, I haven't seen you for a while. I think I owe it to find out what's happening with you. And if you are continue to feel down or you're sounding a certain way, I owe it to come and find you. I remember not too long ago, a friend of ours that we're not going to mention the name, but remember when we planned to go and see him because of certain circumstances, we were like, no, we've got to go down and, you know, see exactly what's going on here. So I think that's one of the, I was going to quote The Godfather here, but that's not the right quote I was going to quote. But I think you just have to be observant as to what your friends are going through or how people are behaving, and try to make it clear that it's okay to talk. For me, I'm not ashamed though. If I have an issue, I'll talk about it. You have to talk. You don't like a pressure cooker. Yeah. If you don't let out steam, if you don't let steam, it's going to blow.
Explode, yeah.
So definitely, it's about talking. It's about being observant with your friends and that. But you know, I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm not an expert, but I do know that the matter is being given more publicity. More people are openly talking about it. There's nothing wrong with being vulnerable, with feeling down, and depressed.
Yeah, and it's actually quite staggering that the suicide rate in Nigeria is rising, and apparently we're the 15th highest suicide committing countries in the world.
The 15th?
15th in the entire world. And I think the 7th in Africa. And this is Nigeria. We were known to be the suffering and smiling people.
All right, yes. Yeah, the suffering and smiling. Yes, as in you just put up with it.
Yeah. So has that threshold now been
passed?
It's been shattered.
Well, the whole concept of suffering and smiling, isn't that what will lead you to a depressed state, probably, when you're suffering, but you have to smile and pretend things are okay. I mean, in a country where there's still no constant electricity, for example, it's a bit of a, you know, and there's still police brutality. I mean, I was listening to Fela, funny enough, over the weekend, and it's funny because if you listen to any of Fela's tracks right now, it's as if he's talking about the situation right now.
Yep.
Now, fine, he was talking about military dictatorship at the time when he was... most of the time he was singing there was military dictatorship. There was that 4-year spell, I think, where there was democracy between 79 and 83. But everything he's saying is relevant till right now. It's scary. It really is. Suffering and smiling, as you say. No, you suffer and smile, but certainly seek help for it.
Yeah.
But what do you do in Nigeria? What do you think the cause is? Definitely economy.
That's definitely it's got a big role. It got a big role. Poverty can lead to depression because there have been, psychological relations to the more you earn or the more you have and the better you feel. Apparently, there's this chemical in our brains called serotonin. And the more you earn or the higher your status in life is, the better you actually feel as a human being. And the less you earn or the lower you are on the totem pole of achievement is the higher of the octopamine that your brain actually produces, which leads to depression.
I don't know. Maybe that's a school of thought, but I would slightly disagree with that just because I believe that it's a state of contentment. I know people that don't earn a lot of money at all, but they're happier than ever. They actually can listen to the birds that sing in the morning. They can walk in the park and appreciate the flowers, the smell of the flowers, which people, surprisingly, with a lot of money, don't seem to do anymore.
True.
It's more about, what gadgets do I have, what cars do I have, what private jet I'm going to. But imagine this. Imagine if your whole ethos was, if I need money to be happy. So imagine now you get this money and you're still not happy.
Yeah.
Imagine that. Imagine how you'd feel.
Yeah.
Imagine that. You buy your Lamborghini, your Ferrari, private plane, private jet. And then you're just like,
Yeah.
Is this it?
It's a bad thing to hinge your happiness on something material, like something like money.
Yeah.
Nah, man, it's not a good idea.
Then how do you establish a state of contentment? Because as I said, I know people who are happier than can be. Honestly, they are happy. But if you look at it in the real world as to material things, they don't have much. They really don't have much. They have a roof over their heads. They have clothes on their back. They can, they have food to eat, and they're just happy about that. The littlest things make them happy.
Yeah.
And I think it's finding that state is where probably what I would call the good zone is.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely. I mean, if I'm working in a job, absolutely. If somebody gives me
£1 million?
No, not even £1 million. No, face it. But no, if somebody just walks in there and just gave you 50 quid for nothing, you'll feel a little bit of a kick. You'll be like, well, £50. And it will last for a while. Then somebody gives you 500 and 5,000. So definitely, I can see the correlation between. But that's a bit like instant gratification.
It is instant gratification.
So what happens after that? You spent that first 500, or you're now used to £500 coming every week, or every day. Probably after how many months you'd be like, what, another 500? Why is it not 5,000?
I think I hear what you're saying, and it's multivariate. It's multivariate because even divorce in Nigeria is increasing. Divorce itself can lead to depression.
No, divorce, absolutely, 100%. Because I think broken relationships, it's not just the devastation of the breakdown of the relationship, it's what entails with that. So with the relationship with the children, with family members, with how you're viewed in society, with, I do know certain circumstances where you're with somebody, so you're in a relationship. When the relationship breaks down, imagine when all of a sudden people now feel free to talk. And they start saying, don't you know, this was happening, that was happening, this was... So you're already there trying to cope with your depression or your, and the guy's telling you, don't you know your wife was doing this one? Your husband was like, you're like, bloody hell, can I just... Because everybody feels free now to talk nonsense, you know? But not just that, I think the effects it has on the kids. I don't think relationships are getting any better or any worse. I just think that people are more, especially with the times we're in now, they're more open to break the relationship, to say enough is enough. I think back in probably, the 50s and 60s and 70s, it's kind of shameful. No matter what the man does, you have to stay in the home. But women are more liberated now to say, high road, hit the high road. I'm not going to put up with this. And so they're more confident in leaving the relationship.
Yeah.
Because I know so many relationships. Well, I heard about, especially when I was younger, where it was clear that these people were just not
Compatible.
they were just not friends even.
Yeah.
But you see them at weddings and they'll be the ones wearing the best dress, I swear, to match everything. They'll be the ones posing the biggest ones. Yeah. But you know the inside story that it's not, the woman's not happy, the man's not happy, but in public they put on this, character, facade, yeah. But I think now people are more in tune to walking out of a relationship that's not happy. So, yeah, divorce, I'm not surprised that divorces are on the increase.
Yeah. I know we're not experts, when it comes to marriage counseling. But the truth is, I am seeing a trend, and that trend is a lot of young people have this pressure that's just coming with the times, where they feel they just have to be married.
Well, yes, because society demand that you get married in order to fulfill all the things that you're supposed to do. Yeah. Certainly, there is pressure on people to get married. I know many people who regret marrying when they did, simply because they felt a lot of pressure to get married. So just get married, not for the right reasons, but just so that they satisfy the people around them. But what I'll always tell anybody else is, if you get married for other people, it's all funny because at your wedding, they all come and eat rice, they eat the whole maima, eat the whole soup, dance the shaku, and all that one. And then after, they'll leave you and that person together, Nobody gives a toss. They're going to leave you and that person there. And it's at that point, you'll be like, what color do you like, I don't like this, I don't like that. I find it, but you can't blame people. The pressures sometimes are extremely, especially like if you're being given a lot of pressure by your parents, and friends in society, your peers, everybody's getting married, you need to get married. I don't think there should be any pressure, especially in this day and age. I don't see, what's the point, really, if you're not going to be happy in it, or if you're not going to find the person who's going to make you happy, why just manage? Well, some people get married just for that party day, just to dance. But
yeah, sad to say, I agree, and it's becoming so rampant nowadays.
What's rampant?
It's in the fact that there are people of our generation, so to speak, who literally are getting married just for the thrill of it.
Oh, for the thrill of it, yeah. Well, I have a theory that says anybody who's been married 4 or 5 times is getting married for the thrill of it. There has to be though. I mean, if you're married 4, 5, 6 times, people. Yeah, I think definitely there has to be a thrill. That whole party. You're the center of the occasion. It's very romantic. I think certainly. I mean, but some people get married and then after, is it 5, 6 times they get it right? I can't remember who was it that I was reading recently?
6 times.
Yeah. Somebody, who was it? No, one of these famous actresses in Hollywood who settled down with their 6th husband or so for quite a few years. I can't remember the name. So, lady, seriously, it works.
It works.
It does work. It can work.
You're willing to try.
Well, 6 times. But you got to have money to do that 6 times. Yeah, try before you mind. There's that one called girlfriend and boyfriend. I don't know.
And girlfriend and boyfriend with that. Once you've entered that marriage realm, you're not trying anymore. You've bought.
You bought, Abby.
Well.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think the marriage thing is certainly society pressures.
Yeah, and
certainly
that does put pressure on male and female.
Yes. No.
And listen to this.
Yeah.
Another thing I found out: Nigerian ladies are the 3rd highest. They've got the 3rd highest suicide rate in the world.
No way.
The 3rd.
Nigerian ladies.
The 3rd.
Wow. Again, that's deep. Really?
The 3rd.
Why is that?
I have no idea. Could it be, pressures from society, and the fact that Nigerian women and Nigerian men don't shoot me for this, but in Nigeria, domestic violence is just part of the territory.
Domestic violence.
Yeah, it is.
I know certainly that there is more awareness being brought towards it.
Yeah, agreed. There's a more awareness, but it is very, very common. It's commonplace in
Domestic
Nigeria.
violence.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's commonplace in Nigeria. Not saying for a man to beat his wife. There again, obviously, I'm not saying every man, obviously,
Well,
but it's stuff like, you know, I saw growing up. Not my dad, thankfully, but
yeah.
it's a normal
Well,
thing.
I had a neighbor very back in the days when I was younger, and they used to go at it every. But I think it was 50-50. This wasn't the man being the woman. The woman was dishing out. The woman, honestly,
Wow.
That she was as good as honestly, sometimes I feel. In fact, I had it both sides. If I think about it, my neighbor but I had You're quite well. I don't know how common it is, but I do know certainly that there are more awareness is being spread towards domestic violence against women. Certainly. So I wouldn't be surprised if you're saying it's common. Yeah. Whether that's one of the, do you think that's one of the reasons for the high rates of suicide? It could be, because if you're being beaten in a relationship and nobody's there to help you, there's no place to, you go to your parents and they say go back to the marriage home. It said, don't disgrace me and the family. Then where else do you turn? So I think certainly what do you want me to tell my people? Yeah. I mean, a good book to read is Things Fall Apart. It's a book I read now and again because that's certainly about Chinua Achebe, yeah? That book certainly, for me, outlines the Igbo culture and how Igbos sort of view themselves and how they operate within society. And it's all about, there's this whole thing about Okonkwo's pride, and a lot of things was how am I going to be, funny enough, I'm just mentioning now without thinking of it, without a spoiler at the end, but you know what happens to him at the end?
Yeah, of course.
Exactly what we're talking about. I don't want to spoil anything for anybody here, but hey, the book's like 50 years old, please. Exactly. But you know what happened to Okonkwo at the end? Because of how he was being perceived in society. It just occurred to me that that's what happened to him at the end. But that's not why I actually brought it up. I brought it up because of, it kind of explains the pride and how it's more about what people are thinking, what people, don't disgrace me, how will others perceive me? And I think that's extremely strong in the in the community. I remember as a kid, if my dad, I remember if I cried, my dad would say, don't cry. Honestly, imagine where they're giving you licks, right? And they say, don't cry. So all of a sudden the tears would just go back up in my eyes, honestly. I'll be like, don't cry. I'll be honestly. Yeah, like, don't cry. It's I crying is, you know what I mean? We all know what you mean. That's why instead the tears will just run back up in the eyelids, and you've got to be, to the point when they're giving licks. Out to your man.
I remember when my dad, listen to this, man. Oh God, when my dad passed in 2012, there was a man. Funny enough, the man is dead now. The man died last year at the funeral. Obviously, me as a man, my papa just died now. I was, trying to get myself together, and I was emotional. Yeah. The man comes to me, aren't you a man?
Are you serious?
I won't punch the guy. See,
are you serious? Aren't you a man? What can you imagine? Your dad's, wow.
Aren't you a man?
That sort of kind of explains it, doesn't it?
Do this guy. I put slap for your face, but he too is dead now. May so rest in peace. But yeah, man, I get what you mean. I don't know, man. We need that reorientation. I certainly think as well, when in the Nigerian context, I think there has to be more awareness. I think there has to be some sort of initiative. I think there are some at the moment. I'm not aware, but I do know that there is some publicity. I remember watching something by on Obi Nwokeji TV. I think it was T-Bills. I think he was with somebody else. I can't remember the guy's name, but he's I think he's a psychiatrist, is he? Or a psychologist or somebody. Okay. Well, he's somebody versed in mental health. Okay. I think more awareness is being put out there, and I think there should be more initiatives, certainly. Not just in Nigeria, but in the Nigerian context as we're speaking now. Yeah. Because as I said, it's like one psychiatrist for 1 million people. That's preposterous. Or over 1 million people. So where do you go from there? So certainly I think that's something that has to be looked at. And it's more common than anybody can realize. I'll tell you another story. When I was in university in my first year, I had a friend when I was studying law.
in my very first year, and I met him. He came back from England. I'm not going to call names here. He had come back from England to Nigeria, so he was in a rock band in England, and I think his parents brought him back, and then he secured admission into my university. So that's in the first year, and then we got on quite quickly because obviously I was here before I went back to Nigeria, so we had that common thing about England and so on and so we got on like a house on fire, and then we became roommates. Now he consistently struggled with the sudden changing of the environment because his life had changed drastically. He's in England for most of his life, and suddenly, without warning, I think the parents did one of those ones, when they say, "Oh, come to Nigeria for holiday."
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
and then from there they So that's what happened to him, and he was always trying to adjust. Now, imagine when I was going back for my second year, and then reading in the paper, because he was quite a famous guy at the time, because of his family and who his parents were, that the guy had committed suicide. He died. He killed himself.
What?
And we're talking early 20s here. He killed himself in his room. What he did was he locked himself in his room and drank himself to death. So I think he opened something like 8 bottles of gin, different types of alcohol, and just swallowed all of them. Well, drank as much as he could. And then from there, because if you drink too much alcohol, it goes to alcohol poisoning. You go into a coma. From there, your heart and organs forget how to function.
Wow.
And the scariest thing was going back into, because remember, he was my roommate. We shared a room. His things were still there. So he had a big kind of, those tape decks, big tape decks, double decks that he did the dubbing, back in the days, the big one, twin deck one, there's a large one. And then it was through him actually, because he had the Beatles catalogue and that. And then I remember that's when I started listening to the Beatles for the first time. I knew the Beatles, like, the popular songs, but he had he had so much music that it was such a depressing time for me, I must say. And that again hits home. How many years ago was that, And it's like, it's more common than we think it is. I mean, I know sometimes when I feel low, like
we all do.
I feel real low, like Monday morning or one day, you just think, I don't want to get out of bed.
So what kind of things help you get through?
I don't know. I mean, for me, certainly, I like inspirational quotes. I like that kind of stuff. I like also listening to people's success stories. I like watching or reading stories about people who have been down, who have made it through it. That kind of gives me hope. But for me, for example, in the morning when I'm feeling down, I like to put on a song. Funny enough, music does change your mood. And today I'll tell you what I had in the morning. I'll tell you what I put on in the morning straight. Well, kind of close. I had Fino, Fada. I don't know, there's something that song does to me. It gives me, the whole beat gives me, it kind of makes me feel like,
Yeah.
And by the time, honestly, the song's only about 4 minutes long, but by the time the song
it's done.
I'm already feeling like, I'm going to go do this. I'm going to do this. So I try to put things on that that lift my spirits. I don't watch the news. Certainly not. I pick and choose the news I watch.
Why?
Because the news is always depressing. Well, I don't want to know. There's nothing. They're not telling me anything that is going to make me feel any better. If I'm going to listen to the news, it'll be way up later on in the day, not first thing in the morning. I don't want to know, really. I pick and choose what I want to listen to. So on YouTube, there's certain boxing, I like boxing a lot. So there's certain boxing channels I'll listen to. There's some funny guys who have YouTube channels. And even though I don't agree with everything they say, they're just funny. They're just natural. So I like things that make me laugh. I watch King of Queens. You remember that comedy? I watched that. I watched that over and over and over and over and over and over again. All the episodes, they make me laugh. So I just try and do things that try to make me laugh and make me smile.